So I'm here driving into Chicago, and it is the 4th of July. Happy 4th, but the government has never done anything for me. Me doing for the government has never done for me. They've just made my life fucking worse. So, that being said, here's the government's failure again. So, the maximum speed on this expressway is 55 miles an hour. And it is not optional. When you go over 55, you're violating the law. So, it is not a suggested speed. It is the maximum speed. And it's raining out. Now, what does it say under the driver's test? That you must drive appropriately for conditions. Now, the minimum speed, which no one tells you, is 45 miles an hour on an expressway. Even if it goes up to 70, the minimum speed is 45. Unless the conditions are inappropriate. So it moves down the maximum and the minimum goes down. Now I'm driving 50 miles an hour. 5 miles an hour less than the maximum. It's raining out. So I adjust my speed downward. And as you can see, that car everybody's flying by me. Now we have these overhead signs. And it should be telling people it is mandatory 50 or less. And anyone above that will be cited. Because I do believe in camera systems citing people. And doing this continuously. Because, like this Jeep coming up on my back end. See those lights? It is a Jeep now who's tailing me in inclement weather. He came up on me. I didn't approach him. It is the aggressor law. This person is an aggressor. 1.2 seconds to react with your foot to brake. Maintaining inappropriate distance. Now I do that and I pump my brakes to tell them to get off my ass. A warning sign, clearly warning them that you're threatening me and you are too fucking close. Clearly warning the piece of shit. But again, they just get to drive away, no tickets, no nothing, because America doesn't believe in enforcing any rules. It's a system of pure chaos. It's a free-for-all. Because obviously no one believes in religion. And that's, number one, it tells me that this is a godless country. Oh, it tells me, number one, every day, this is a godless country. All these people will burn in eternal fucking damnation. One of the things about going to heaven, just like American Sniper, and I go back to him, Chris Kyle, following the fucking rules to a T. And the funny thing is, you know how much of a rule person he is. Because of the 160 shots, none of them were ever under question if they were morally correct. And as he says, I'll answer to God for every one. And I'm willing, and I know I will. So here is somebody that's given a license to kill and only does it out of extreme necessity. As they go over in the movie, as the little kid, don't, or the mother and kid, don't get it, don't pick it up. And he constantly doesn't want to take the shot. It emphasizes over and over again, and that's his own story, his own book. Constantly not wanting to take the shot. And even the guy, his spotter, emphasizes if you make a mistake, you'll fry into one scene. But again, he's not doing it because, he wants to go out there and kill and hurt people. He's a family man. He has a boy and a son and a wife. He understands they have family too. And so again and again and again, he emphasizes he doesn't want to do it. He only does it out of necessity. So again, those are the people you want. Like all my martial arts teachers, they were lovers first. Fighters out of necessity. Like my last martial arts teacher, who was a female and a male, husband and wife. But both of them, they're lovers first. They have kids. They have family. They have friends. They do things out of necessity only. Our lawyers don't seem to understand that. That they go out there and advocate for these people to do evil. That's the whole point about inciting under the Constitution. They're not supposed to be advocating for them to go out there and do evil. And I ran across this in the mortgage field, where they're like, don't make payments, and so you'll get behind on your mortgage, and then we can negotiate with the bank and create leverage. Really? The best way to do it is to state your financial position and show that you have good faith and you will continue to make your payments, but it will be hard for you to sustain them, and eventually you'll have to stop paying. And this is why the government came out with HARP. You don't get out of it. They tack it on to your back end. So the bank makes the interest on the back side. They lower your current interest and lengthen your payment. That's how they do it. So now the bank gets a stable loan and the payee gets payment relief, but they're going to have to pay for that on the back end with maybe another year or two in payments. So they're not getting it for free, But everybody's getting what they need. They get payment relief so they can maintain their credit, maintain their house, pay their property tax. And this is what governments don't understand. That if people can't pay, then who pays the property tax on that? Oh, that's right. If the bank forecloses, now the bank isn't making any money, and now the bank is also paying property tax. Wow. And so this is why banks, they don't like to take properties. Because not only do they have a problem with now they have to pay the property tax, they also just acquired all the liability for the property. And they required any maintenance for the property, like having to cut the grass, truly making sure the pipes don't break, so the foundation doesn't get destroyed, making sure many other things negatively don't happen. So the bank acquires all kinds of management issues, liability issues, property tax issues, and they just fuck themselves further because that foreclosure just pushed down the value of housing. Which, if you understand capital calls, as my partner's bank failed, because they look at your loan-to-value ratio. And when the loan-to-value goes down, meaning you got more loan than value, well, you got to get capital injections. And that means you got to get unencumbered money. You can't go out and borrow money. You have to get investors. So that means you have to give to get. And usually banks means they issue more shares of stock. Because the capital has to be non-encumbered. And so now they're giving away more equity in the bank. Because debt doesn't cut it. You're encumbered with interest payments. Equity, you're not encumbered. The only thing you have is a promise. And so you have to issue equity. And that means you give away ownership. So banks don't like to acquire property. It is a big headache for them. They like to take their money, loan it out, get their payments, and then loan those payments out. They like to stay out of the acquisition game. That is a whole different business than the lending game. So again, they don't necessarily want to acquire. So it is a big deal. So I told David he could have worked with it since he was on these different talk about a heart program. And I said, you should have offered the restructuring. His bank didn't have any bad loans. But again, the industry did. And he should have been preaching how to properly restructure debt, keeping people solvent, keeping your cash flow positive, and preventing yourself from acquiring massive liabilities. So again, That's what they're supposed to be teaching. The Federal Reserve and all that. So, again, doing things correctly. It is not a fucking option. It is mandatory. And the people that don't do things correctly, we're supposed to suck. We're not supposed to give them a free pass. That's the point of Revelations. You must punish them. No one gets a free pass anymore. I didn't give it with the homeowners. They're going to have to pay several more years of interest payments. They're not getting off the hook. They are getting punished. It is not a free ride. You're shackled with years more in debt payment because you fucked up in your management. So we're not supposed to let people off the fucking hook. That makes the system very unfair. But you constantly forgive these people. They're not supposed to be forgiven. I don't believe in that, the police or any of that. You punish them, send them to work for a charity like Gateway Greens or Chicago Care or whatever, and they go clean up the park. It's called community service. No one gets off. That's a just system. If you don't want to be punished, then don't do the crime. But you keep on and I keep on going down here, and every day you tell me that I'm the horrible person and that they should be able to go out there and do all evil to you and just drive away. Just get away with it. Isn't that what you said with sanctuary cities and that? It's okay. Break the law. And then when we come over, we'll give you all these benefits. But I guess Mark Levin, I used to have friends on my side that used to rant and rave about how the fuck can the government allow this? How is that fair to all the other people waiting in the immigration lines doing everything correctly? That all of a sudden, the people that cut the line now get pathways to citizenship, get all kinds of other benefits. And I get people complaining to me, but I've been waiting for, to immigrate to the United States for a blank amount of years. And I live in this country way over here, like, say, China. And it's very hard. I don't live in Mexico where I can just illegally cross the border. Or I don't live in Central or South America where I can just go across from the land and, boom, right into America. And these people overseas are like, what the fuck? And then I have relatives that I'd like to immigrate here. I have opportunity, and I'd like to bring over certain things. Like my friend had Indian restaurant. Now it's a female owner, but she went over to India and then had to go through and pay all the lawyers and everything so she can bring over her workforce so she can run an authentic Indian restaurant. But what screws her is sanctuary cities. Because the government has to see there's a necessity for the labor. A necessity for the labor. That there's a market shortage that people can't fill in. And then you get people coming out of prison or off disabilities, and they want to go back to the labor force because they want to build a better life. Like my friend Johnny Arpino. He fell down 7 stories down an elevator shaft in a construction site. He rebuilt himself. So he could go back to work. So again, I don't know. Those are the people I'm around. Like, yeah, James Thornton, he had a career-ending injury in the NFL. He became a construction guy. Maury, or the tight end for the Bears, Emery Moorhead. He retired and became a realtor. They didn't sit on their fucking ass. Walter Payton, when he retired, he was putting up different places, running them, running operations. So I don't understand. These people naturally want to work, but they understand that work is good for them. It gives them purpose. It gives them focus. It provides all these positives. Why do you think Charlie Munger, and Warren Buffett never retired? And never have I seen him tout retirement. None of them. Bill Gates, you say, oh, well, Bill Gates, at one time, the richest man in the world. And you think, oh, Bill Gates is going to fall back on retirement. Really? He left Microsoft and went into running his foundation. And running all kinds of different businesses. From water purification to vaccines to many others. He actually was doing more work than he was when he was working at Microsoft. He didn't go down to less work. He actually picked up the amount of work he did. Big difference. But those people are still healthy, living, and prospering. As far as I know. But it's the same thing. I was just watching Ray Delia. John Vogel, when he left Vanguard, he didn't stop. He opened up a consulting company where he brought his son up with him into the consulting company, and he continued to work. So he was a spokesperson for Vanguard and also did a lot of research and consulting. So I don't get it. So again, things need to be done the right way. And I think so. Anyways, I'm going to end this video. But it's ridiculous that these people, they don't have to confess their sins. They never have to have a come to Jesus moment. That they can just perpetually get away with it. It'll never come to roost. Okay. Well, the Bible says it all come to roost. You're not going to get away with anything. Zero. Nothing. That's the whole summation of the quick and dead. You won't get away with anything. So, this is where I go. If you're fucking me, you're fucked. Eventually, you'll have to pay the piper. And Cain and Abel, burnt offerings don't work. You can't be like Denzel Washington in the movie. Go out there, sell shitloads of drugs. And this is where cheap grace came from. And they go out there, do all over things, and then they give the church tidings. Like, here you go, like Charles Keating and many others. And they tithed a lot to the church. And they went out there, they broke the banking system. The FDIC insurance, because the debt was so great on how many people they scammed, they couldn't pay back $1. They paid back cents on $1. The FDIC insurance failed because the fraud was so fucking great. And it's the same thing. That's why the Bible says, nothing given, everything earned. Because I watch businesses. Have you ever studied businesses? The first generation builds it. The second generation tries to maintain it. And the third generation, it fails. Why? Because, and I work with a firm that did development for leadership. If you're going down that path, then your child has to start from scrubbing floors and working their way through the system and doing the right education and mentoring. And I worked with a firm that did this. So you can't give them, and if they're not cut out, and we talk about estate equalization, they just get equity shares that are non-voting, and they receive a dividend or income from the firm, and that's it. They don't have what it takes. You have responsibility to everybody else that works for the firm. And you bring them in, and they don't have what it takes, then everything you created disappears. And that's why if you reach down for talent, meaning you lower your standards, you're all wrong. Create training programs. Oh yeah, that's right. When I went to work for Grossinger, I had to go through a sales training program. And I had to pass. Some people didn't pass the program. And in the program, we had to learn how to sell cars. And then when we passed the program, they hired people from the program. So they didn't say, hey, you walked in the door, you're going to be a salesman. That part of working for Grossinger, and it was an independent company. We just used their space. But it was, I don't know how many weeks or months. But They didn't like, oh, we're just going to give you a job. No, let's see if you can actually do the job. So, giving people this shit is ridiculous. You don't lower your standards. You bring people in, you give them a chance. That was the point about why we did immigration. Come in, we give you a chance. And if you're not producing, I'm sorry, we're not a welfare state. We're kicking you the fuck out. Why? Because you can't make it in this economy. It's better you go back home, and you go back home with a skill base, because you came here, you got some enhanced skills, and you're going back home to your market, and you're going to be more competitive. But we automatically kick you the fuck out. You don't have the option. Either you're making it or you're gone. There is no between. Just like I go and you say, oh, harsh, Jennifer Kim and her family. And I'll give you many others that didn't take any government subsidies and they made it. So if you're not making it and self-supporting, you're fucking gone. You don't belong in this market. You are incompetent. You need to go where you're competent. And I said we give them training and that, and if they can't cut it, they got to go. You're not going to pull down the country, right? So, and the funny thing is, do you know all those cartel members in that? All those gang members in that? All those mafia members in that? They wouldn't have been able to stay in the country. Because they had to prove they had gainful employment, and that employment was paying for their lifestyle. See, the way we did it before is you can come in and you can stay. I don't care if you're a refugee. We can kick you to another country and separate you out from your, like if we break up MS-13, we can send one to one country and there's hundreds of countries. And you go there, they go over there, you'll never see each other again. You don't allow them to get the gang back together. But the point of the system is we wouldn't have had all that negativity. And that means we would have focused on our own deadbeats. Truly. We would have now been able to address our own internal issues because we weren't importing issues. You know, all those serial killers and so on. We would have been able to focus on our internal issues. So again, if they don't cut it, they get out. We're not here to bring you in to give you freebies. You either earn what you receive or you're fucking gone. We're not floating you.